Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are going to break down the modern playbook for building software as a team. We'll be using the super popular MERN stack, that's MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js, as our guide for building better together.
Oh yeah. If you're a developer, you've probably said this, you've definitely heard this, and you have for sure spent hours debugging this exact problem. It's the classic sign of a team that's out of sync, and really, that's where our whole story begins.
So our goal here is to give you a clear roadmap to move past all those common frustrations. We're going to go from the chaos of everyone having their own setup to a streamlined collaborative workflow that ends with a nice, smooth deployment to the cloud.
So how do we get there? Here's the journey we're about to take. We're going to start by really nailing down the core challenges. Then we'll build up our solution, layer by layer, from getting everyone's local machine on the same page all the way to deploying a scalable app.
All right, first up, let's frame the problem. Modern software development is basically a team sport. But as soon as you bring multiple developers onto a single project, you start running into some very specific and honestly predictable challenges.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how these two biggest issues, environment drift and deployment errors, are basically two sides of the same coin. Think about it. All those little inconsistencies between everyone's local setups are exactly what blow up into those painful errors when you try to go live.
And that right there is the central tension, isn't it? We know we have to work together to build anything cool or innovative. But that means we have to be really deliberate, really strategic about solving the problems that come along with it.
Which brings us right to our first big solution. It's time to tackle that "it works on my machine" problem head on. We're going to create a single, consistent foundation for the entire team to build on.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the root of the problem. You've got developer A on a Mac with older versions of Node and Mongo. Meanwhile, developer B is on Windows with all the latest stuff. If you have ever burned an entire day chasing a bug that only exists on one person's machine, well, this slide is probably why.
So how do we fix this? Enter Docker. The easiest way to think about a Docker container is like a standardized little box. Inside that box is your application and everything it needs to run. The code, the database, the exact software versions, and the magic is, this box runs identically everywhere. This one tool just completely eliminates an entire category of bugs. It saves countless hours and makes it so much faster for new devs to get up and running.
And Docker Compose? Well, that's the tool that conducts all these little boxes. It's like the sheet music for our development band. It defines every single part of the app, so with just one command, every single developer is playing in the exact same key.
Okay, so our local setups are now perfectly consistent. Fantastic. But what about the code itself? How do we manage all the contributions from the team without creating a total mess in our shared codebase?
The answer is a really structured workflow, and you'll often hear it called the GitHub flow. So instead of everyone just piling their work into the main code base, each developer creates their own isolated feature branch. They do their work there in a safe space, and only after the code is finished, tested, and, this is key, reviewed by the team, does it get merged back in. It's a system built for safety and for clarity.
But a workflow like this doesn't just happen. It needs to be supported by these foundational guardrails, a central repository, automatic checks for code style, clear setup instructions, and defined rules for pull requests. All of these things work together to keep the quality and consistency of your code super high.
All right, we've got consistent local environments and a clean, organized way to write code. So what's the final piece of the puzzle? Well, it's getting all that amazing code to our users safely and efficiently.
This is where continuous integration, or CI, comes into play. You can think of it as an automated quality check. Every single time a developer submits their code for review, a system automatically runs all the tests to make sure nothing got broken. It's like having a music producer review every musician's part before it goes on the final album.
And this timeline shows that whole CI/CD pipeline in action. It's this beautiful automated journey from a developer's computer all the way to live users, with safety checks built in at every single stage. This whole process just slashes manual errors and makes your release cycle so much faster. Now, a super critical part of that pipeline is the staging environment. This is an exact clone of your live production server. Deploying here first is like the final dress rehearsal before the big show. It lets you catch any last-minute issues before they ever have a chance to impact your actual users.
And there we have it. We've built a solid, collaborative process for creating and deploying a MERN application. So let's wrap this up with the key takeaways and look at how this whole foundation really prepares us for the future.
Seriously, if you remember anything from this, let it be these 4 points. Standardize with Docker, organize with a feature branch workflow, automate with CI/CD, and secure your configurations. These aren't just best practices. They are the blueprint for turning a group of individual developers into a high-velocity team that ships features faster and with way more confidence.
And what's so powerful about this is that it's not just about making today easier. By containerizing your app and automating your deployments, you've laid the essential groundwork for future growth. You're now ready to handle way more users by just adding more containers and letting a load balancer direct traffic on a cloud platform like Google Cloud.
So, let's end with this thought. Once you remove all the friction of collaboration and take away the fear of deployment, you free up your team to focus on what actually matters, innovating and building amazing products. The question is no